Good morning. Welcome to the home of the Calgary Unitarians. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey of faith or search for meaning, welcome. If you are visiting for the first time or the first time in a long time, know that we are grateful to have you with us. We come together in a beloved community to grow in wisdom, welcome, and deepen relationships, and act for a just and sustainable world. Now, wherever we are, let us remember and acknowledge the traditional territories and languages of all whose ancestors were here before us. We recognize our responsibility to be stewards of this land and acknowledge that we do so in cooperation with the people of the Blackfoot Confederacy, for whom this Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta is traditional territory. The people of the Blackfoot Confederacy are comprised of the Siksika, the Kainai, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Dene First Nation band Tsuut'ina. Alberta's Nakota and the Nakota First Nation, also known as Stoney. Alberta's Nakota First Nation comprises 3 bands: Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Wesley. Okinsis, the Blackfoot word for what is now known as the city of Calgary, is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. In offering land acknowledgement, we honor those who have long been stewards and accept our shared responsibility for being good caretakers. We acknowledge that Treaty 7, signed September 22nd, 1877, was entered into as a collaboration between settlers and Indigenous peoples, making us all treaty people. My name is Carol Yankee. I use the pronouns she and her, and I have the privilege of serving on your board of trustees. This community is special to me for many reasons, and today, as we celebrate the history of the cabaret, it seems fitting to acknowledge how important Jane and the music programs have been to me over the past 2 years. Even though we were limited to beautiful smiling faces on a Zoom screen, we were definitely a community. Whether coffee choir, euphonia, or the occasional See You Friday, after an hour of singing, interspersed with words of wisdom, my spirit was lifted and the weight of the world's problems seemed much lighter. It was great therapy. So I invite you all to join us after the service for a taste of cabaret. Lunch and goodies will be available for purchase beginning at 11:45 in Wickenden, and the show will begin at 12:15 here in Panabaker Hall. Admissions by donation, with funds going to support the CU program. For those joining us by Zoom, a link to a virtual coffee hour where you may meet in small breakout rooms will appear in the chat. And now back to Reverend Shelley.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome. I'm Reverend Shelley Thompson. My pronouns are she and her, and I am delighted to be the interim minister here at Calgary Unitarians. Now's the time when we put our cell phones into worship mode, and if you're willing and able to please rise in your spirit, we're going to turn and face our Zoom friends and say, good morning, everybody. We love you.
Thank you. We're glad you're here.
And then greet one another here in the hall. It's so great to be together. Nice to be able to make the rounds and say good morning to everyone, isn't it? We're so glad you're here with us on Zoom as well. Our chalice lighting this morning comes from Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. This is a little quiz. We moved our chalice. I'm wondering what looks a little different up here. We put it over here this time. Trying to make ourselves look our very best for our Zoom audience and those here in the sanctuary. Rejoice, rejoice with full hearts, beloved people of blessing. Rejoice. May this time of worship celebrate what we know at our core. Blessings are real, and our hearts and ours to claim and radiate. Blessings are abundant, and ours to revel in and pass along. Blessings are transformational, and ours to be challenged by as we grow toward the faith we know we can be. Rejoice. This month we are celebrating blessings, and there is a saying we teach our children. We are Unitarian Universalists with minds that think and hearts that love and hands that serve. And when we each bring our whole selves and we show up in community together this way, we are all truly both blessing and blessed. Our presence is what makes our community sacred. So today we are blessed to be receiving the gifts from our own Mary Anna Louise Kovar, who has some words of wisdom and deep reflection to share with us on the spiritual practice of blessing. So I hope you're going to really enjoy that and soak that up with me. And now please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing When Our Heart Is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace.
That was great. I'm Deary Sheila, as you know, Director of Religious Education here at the Calgary Unitarians, and my pronouns are she and her. And as we're talking about blessings, I feel really blessed to be here with all of you and to have this wonderful community. As many of you know, my daughter Morgan, who's 11, she's been very ill at the Alberta Children's Hospital for the last 3 weeks. And I've had so many of you come up to me and let me know that you're sending prayers and good wishes. And she's taken a turn for the better. And I really feel that a lot of that is just the love that I've had from this community sending to Morgan. So thank you so much. And another thing that everyone knows, I guess, is that I've moved from Airdrie to Calgary, and it is not what I wanted to do. While my child is in the hospital, the last thing you want to do is move. I don't know how many of you have stuff in your basement or in your garage, and I certainly did. An entire bunch of stuff that I said I will never move with me again, all came with me. And so it's been a very, very rough month, a very, very rough time. And as we're talking about things, when I'm going through it, I thought, this is the worst. This is the most hardest thing I've ever had to do. And now that I'm starting to come out the other side, I see that there's some blessings in there. And so I'll tell you an example. Where I was living, 4-bedroom house, 3 bathrooms, garage, backyard, lovely. We were there for 2 years. We moved there when my mom came to live with us during COVID. And the rent went up 25%. And we had to move, and we weren't given a choice. And as many of you know, the housing market is insane. And 5 people, try to get 5 people living anywhere. People are like, nope, and I'm like, I'm very nice. Just meet me. And I couldn't find a place anywhere. And we finally found a place that was part of a 4-plex, and it was a little run down. And if you look out my kitchen window, you can see the driveway to Dairy Queen. And I thought, I do not want to live here. No. And then we looked around some more, and places we would go to see, they would say, oh, you can come, but it'll be another $300. We've raised it just in the 2 days before you've come to see it. And so we thought, okay, we will go to this place. And now that we're all moved in, we see that it's wonderful. We're paying less rent, so we're saving money. My mom, who has some mobility issues, she's 76. She just goes to Dairy Queen all the time. She has a very good time. It's not too far for her to walk, and she can get ice cream whenever she wants it. So she loves it. And I thought the noise would bother me, but when I open my window and I hear the traffic, I can't hear my mom's TV. And so it's very good. It's very soothing, And my neighbor is, I have wonderful, wonderful neighbors. They part of this congregation. So one of Morgan's best friends lives right next door to us. And I thought, even though it was something I did not choose to do, I would never wish sudden moving on anyone. It has been a blessing for real. It really has. And so I'm very happy. And poor Morgan, she's been in the hospital. She's been very ill. And I don't want to go into too much detail just for her privacy, but there's a lot of kids who are neurodiverse. And for some kids, when they get COVID and long COVID, when they're neurodiverse, it really affects them. And so she's had more sensory issues. So things like migraines and sounds and just everything, like up 1,000%. And so that's been really hard. But what has been a blessing is for 2 years, I've been trying to get this kid tested, an assessment. And they say she's too smart. She's not behind in school. She doesn't qualify for the free assessment, right? She's a girl. She's too empathetic. She's too all these wonderful things about Morgan, but it means she wasn't getting the support she needed in school. And now that she's in the hospital, they said, oh, you wanted an autism assessment? We can do that right now. And they did it. And it was free instead of $3,500. And what a blessing. And I thought, I wouldn't wish this on anyone, but something wonderful has come out of it. That's really going to help her in the future. So I'm so grateful for that. And so today's craft with our kids is kind of all about that, how something that you might not know is that when butterflies go from caterpillar to butterfly, is that they turn to goo. Like nothing remains. It's not like they have this transformation. They turn into complete goo, and then they become a beautiful butterfly. And so I've been in the goo. Now I feel kind of butterfly-ish, right? And so it talks about how, when we open it up here, there we go. It talks about how there's that journey. And so we kind of go with, this is hard, but I'm just getting started, but I'm on the right track, to I'll take this journey bit by bit, bite by bite, and I'm always growing. And the next one's, I'm not there yet, but I'll try a different way this time. And I'll spread my wings and celebrate growth. And I'm ready for the next new challenge. So that's what we're going to be coloring today. And that'll be really nice. All right. And I feel like, can everyone, yeah, you can still hear me? Okay. I'm always working with this microphone. So, all right. So that's all very exciting. And today's story is called Maybe. And it's a story about everything that you will do, and like a butterfly, everything that you can be, for who you are now and the magical unbounded potential that all of you hold inside, like the butterfly. Now for our story, Maybe, by Kobe Yamada. Have you ever wondered why you are here? You are the only you there has ever been or ever will be. You have so much to offer. Maybe you'll invent something that no one has ever seen before. And maybe you will build things that reach high into the sky. Your life is yours, and try as many things as you can try, and see as much as you can see. And wherever you go, take your hopes, pack your dreams, and never forget, it is on journeys that discoveries are made. And maybe you'll help others to see the beauty in each day. Or maybe you will lift cheering crowds onto their feet. Do everything with love. Follow your heart and see where it leads you. Maybe you're here to shine a light into places that have been dark for too long. Maybe you will speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. And maybe you're here to help in ways that only you can. There will be struggles, there will be fears, and it won't always be easy. And at times it will feel really hard, and you might make a mess of things. And you may fall down, and you may fail. But you will also get back up, and you will rise a little stronger and a little bit taller, because there is really more inside of you than you know. And the world really needs your gifts and your talents and your big ideas. And maybe you are just getting started, no matter how old you are. And what if you're only scratching the surface of what you can do and who you can be? And what if you have talents you haven't even discovered yet? There is something powerful and even magical about you. You already have everything it takes to do big things. And maybe you have no idea just how good you really can be. And maybe you don't know how much you matter. But maybe, just maybe, the world has been waiting centuries for someone exactly like you. And one thing is for sure, you are here. And because you are here, anything is possible. And so I'm going to end with a quote by Steve Maraboli. As you go into your day today, live your truth, express your love, share your enthusiasm, take action towards your dreams, walk your talk, dance and sing to your music, embrace your blessings, and make today worth remembering. And now please join me as we sing the children downstairs, as we sing Go Now in Peace.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Our opening words this morning are from Pierre Pradervand, the author of The Art of Blessings. To bless means to wish unconditionally and from the deepest chamber of your heart, unrestricted good for others and events. It means to hallow, to hold in reverence, to behold with awe that which is always a gift from the Creator. Those who are hallowed by your blessings are set aside, consecrated, holy, whole. To bless is to invoke upon care, to speak or think gratefully for, to confer happiness upon. Although we ourselves are never the bestower, but simply the joyful witnesses of life's abundance.
And now is the time when we light our candles of care and concern. All of the important events in our lives that are just too important not to share with one another. We light a candle for all of our joy, all of our good news, our celebrations, birthdays, anniversaries, flowers blooming, all good things. We light a candle of concern for the sorrows, the heavy things, the worries. And as we light this candle, I invite Marie to come up. She's going to share with us some news of one of our longest lasting members.
My name's Marie Collins, for those of you who do not know me. And many of you know Peggy Raitt, one of our longest members. Her daughter and son-in-law have just arrived in Calgary. She got word that Peggy was not doing well. I think anybody who is a longtime member knows that in July, we always celebrated her birthday. And for those of you that don't know her, she is 101. And I think where Jane is sitting, Peggy used to sit there. She used to come in. She had assigned a teenager to bring her tea. You know, she's from British tradition, and she would sit and have her tea. So I thought you could all send a blessing to Peggy for being a part of our life.
101, I can't even imagine. That's amazing. So our prayers and thoughts and good wishes and blessings go to her and her family during this time. And we'll certainly be thinking of her again at our Stampede breakfast. We light a candle for the world. We know that there's a lot going on out there, both good and bad. I light a candle for those who lost their lives celebrating Pentecost in Nigeria. Of course, we continue to hold Jane and Cora in our prayers and thoughts and send them blessings for healing and wellness and the enjoyment of all the little things that come their way every day as they're able to spend this time together, not the way they would have liked, but the way they have. It is truly a blessing to be able to be in a community like this that shares so deeply and honestly all that matters to us in this life, so that we may all feel held and loved and seen and heard as we go through this adventure called life. And now I invite Mariana Louise to come back and share with us more all about the spiritual practice of blessing. Oh, yes, and forgive me, I forgot something. We're going to hear the wonderful song, Be the Light by Leah Morris. And this is a time when we can come forward and light more candles and add pebbles to our community blessing bowl.
There is always a light When we are ready to see it, there is always a light. When we are ready to be it, to see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night, to climb this hill, together we will. There is always your light in the dark. We are ready to see it. There is always your light in the dark. We are ready to be it, to see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a gift. Together we will. There is always your light. There is always we are ready to see it. There is always your light. There is always we are ready to be it, to see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a gift. Till we together we will. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a climb this hill. We together we will. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. Be the light.
And now we welcome Mariana Louise.
So I'm Mariana Louise Kovar. Because I've been around for so long, I assume that everybody knows who I am, but that may not be true. So I am one of your lay chaplains. I serve on the worship arts team. I am a member of the Committee on Shared Ministry, and I just became a member of the ministerial search team. So that's what I've been up to. If you Google me, Unitarian Church comes up, which makes me really happy. But anyways, so this month we're talking about celebrating blessings. And over the past few years, we've heard a lot about celebrating blessings by expressing gratitude. Psychologists, academics, doctors, philosophers have encouraged us to discover the value of truly appreciating what we have. And this is known to improve our attitude, to improve our outlook on life and our overall experience of life. And the scientist in me rejoices because the research also shows evidence of positive physical and chemical changes in human beings when we practice gratitude. So having a practice of gratitude is beneficial. We've been doing it for a while, and I highly recommend it. However, it does have an inward focus. So gratitude for what I have, for the quality of my life and my experience of another person or an event or an object. So this morning, I thought we might take a look at the value of an outward focus. So how can you and I be a blessing or offer blessings into the world? What can we offer consistently and freely with full hearts to each other, to our communities, to the world? When I think of the blessings that I've experienced, I notice that there's often been an identifiable giver. So sometimes an active giver. Sometimes the giver is just being fully themselves in an engagement with me. Those blessings can be experienced as simple joy, an acknowledgement, comfort, or maybe a jolt or a challenge. And there have been times for me when that has been a life-altering experience. And I had such an experience right here in this beloved community. Early in my term serving as a lay chaplain, I was considering whether to attend a training workshop in Ontario. It was not a required program, and it would involve significant costs for travel and accommodation in addition to the registration fees. I was having a conversation with our dear member, Marie Collins, who's a retired lay chaplain, about what benefit would it be to me and would it be worth it? At some point in the conversation, Marie exclaimed, "Mariana Louise, has it ever occurred to you that it may not be what you get from it that matters, but what you bring to it?" Hell no. I had never given that one single thought, not one. And we won't go into any issues of self-worth here. But I have a lot of respect for Marie Collins, and I seriously considered her question. I went to that workshop. I went with an open heart, an open mind, and willing to participate as fully and as honestly as I could in whatever happened there. And it was an incredible experience. No one wanted to be the first to leave at the end. When we stood in our closing circle, nobody was willing to drop hands. I think I might have been the first, actually. But I'm not arrogant enough to think that that was all my doing, although I did receive acknowledgement for my participation. What I do know is that the attitude I took into that weekend opened me up to the many blessings that the other attendees had to offer. And it opened them up to what I had to offer. To this day, when I'm faced with an opportunity that seems to hold no benefit for me, or dare I say it, even holds some dread, I ask myself, what can I bring? A calm presence, an open heart, supportive guidance, a little bit of lightness and laughter. In other words, how can I be a blessing in this situation? Does it always change the world? Maybe not. But often it does in small, important ways. And I'm pretty sure it always decreases any potential for harm. And that's enough to make it worth the effort. Another source of significant blessing in my life has been writers who are willing to pour their hearts and souls onto a written page for publication. There are many that have written things that I knew but didn't have the words to express, or things that I desperately needed to understand, but a key point was missing. I'm sure that many of you have those kinds of books as well. And I'm going to share a story of that from 1980, a long time ago. That was a story that I would not dare to tell anyone at the time, and it took a long time for me to be able to share. I was in a Woodward's book department. Anyone remember Woodward's? And I was buying a book as a gift for a friend. And due to budgeting constraints, I had promised myself I would not buy anything for myself. And I went to the till with my gift book, and I hesitated a moment and looked at the salesperson and heard myself say, "Oh, just a minute, I've forgotten something." Did I just say that? I was a little startled and confused. I returned to the bookshelf and I pulled out this book. There is a place where you are not alone by you, Prather. And I opened it randomly and read, "Books seek us out. They slip themselves into our hands just at a time we are ready for a new self-concept." $7.50. Damn. I walked out with 2 books and a secret that day. And that book, this book, which I will never give away, began a journey through the difficulty of being a scientist and a theist and a mystic in a Unitarian Universalist community. Not an easy journey. You, Prather, gave me an alternative concept of God and a way to fit it into Unitarian Universalism. When he was asked by his wife how he knew what he believed about God was true, he replied, quote, "If the question of whether God exists cannot be answered in the terms in which we ask it, yet the improvement in the quality of our life cannot be denied whenever we assume that God does exist, why then delay making the assumption? Why choose to be right instead of happy when there's no way to be right?" And I could not agree with him more. And so I'm a theist. I believe in God, and I may be mistaken. And that's okay, because I'm a Unitarian Universalist. My experience of Source, the universe, God informs the blessings I offer into the world. It also enables me to be in gratitude for the many ways that others experience their spirituality, even when it's very different than my own. Goodness, kindness, love, compassion do not depend on a belief in God, nor do blessings. I belong to a Calgary Unitarians themed listening circle, a great experience of deepening relationship, by the way, full of blessings and people offering blessings. And our theme this month about blessings has me reading The Gentle Art of Blessing, the book our quote came from, a book about blessing as a spiritual practice. In reading about the ins and outs of blessing, I realized that during the time we were developing our covenant of right relations, my practice of those concepts being considered for the covenant had become an act of blessing. I'll unpack that a little for you. I did considerable research regarding right relations when I was on the development team. I wanted to know if all the practices that we were considering really worked. So I began testing them, both inside and outside of our church community. I was astounded at the results, and some I actually considered miraculous. I realize now, after reading The Gentle Art of Blessing, that I did not just test the recommended right relations practices. I believed in the integrity of the other person engaged with me. And I'll give you an example. One of the practices is assuming the good intentions of the other. I could not just check and see if they had good intentions before we started. I had to believe going in that their intentions were good. And I had to stay steadfast in that belief, no matter what happened during that transaction. As our opening reading says, to wish unconditionally, unrestricted good for others and events. And the result of that was a creation of safe space. And it was a blessing. I was able to listen more carefully and respond more kindly, and people seemed more willing to meet me in the middle. And one of those encounters was with someone who had a complaint that they had brought to COSM, the Committee on Shared Ministry, and they were upset. And I was afraid to call them. And I procrastinated a little, and then I read all my right relations things to do, and I went into that conversation. And I don't know what happened or how it happened because I was in the moment. And afterwards, that person informed COSM that their complaint had been resolved as far as they were concerned. And it's like, wow, and I don't even know what I did. So blessings come in so many ways. And I'm excited about how we might approach our right relations covenant, which because we've been apart because of COVID, we haven't really gotten to practice. But I'm excited how we can, as a congregation, can make that a spiritual practice. Especially now that we're coming together in person again. I have personally found the concepts quite useful in my family relationships and in interactions in other communities that I belong to. Even when efforts at right relations are one-sided, only one person is engaging under that concept, it makes a difference still. And I would like Calgary Unitarians to be known for how well we treat each other in our relationships here and beyond our own beloved community. Are you in? Good. Yay, I don't want to do it alone. Are you in? Yes. So it seems to me that what I've had to say so far makes me sound like an aging Pollyanna, a little too cheerful and optimistic. And as a matter of fact, years ago, I was accused of exactly that, with an addendum that it was clear that I had never faced adversity. Okay. At the time, I had experienced growing up in poverty. The breadwinner in my family had just recently been totally disabled by an industrial accident, and I'd experienced rape. Yep, life was a breeze. So this is what Robert Fulghum says about blessings in hard times. Quote, if you break your neck, if you have nothing to eat, if your house is on fire, you have a problem. Everything else is just an inconvenience. Life is inconvenient. Life is lumpy. A lump in the oatmeal, a lump in the throat, and a lump in the breast are not the same kind of lump. One needs to learn the difference. End quote. My experience tells me that if you get lumps in your oatmeal get you down, that lump in your breast may just take you out. And I grant you that seeing blessings in hardship may not be easy, and it may require some distance and time, but being part of a beloved community helps. And exercising your gratitude muscle regularly also helps. But as Sheila has shared with us, you can do it pretty quick too. Find blessings in the hardships. I identify as a Unitarian Universalist, mystic, and theist, and what I've shared with you today is from that perspective. However, as a lay chaplain creating meaningful rites of passage for clients whose beliefs have ranged from devout Catholic, yes, I did a Catholic wedding, to atheist, I have had the opportunity to explore many perspectives. And I encourage a broad view of what spiritual and sacred means. Spiritual practices are specific activities that you do to deepen your relationship with the sacred and with the world around you. And the sacred is that which is worthy of respect and awe. It's often what makes life worth living, and it's always worth celebrating. It seems to me that opportunities abound in that description of what sacred and spiritual practice is. This is what one of our readings from our monthly resources says. It's a quote from Reverend Aaliyah Kember. Quote, "So what then does it mean to offer a blessing, to be a blessing? To bless something or someone is to invoke its wholeness, to help remind the person or thing you are blessing of its essence, its sacredness, its beauty, and to help remind yourself of that too. Blessing does not fix anything. It is not a cure. It does not instill health or well-being or strength. Instead, it reminds us that those things are already there within us." End quote. I invite you to practice blessing, and I invite you to be a blessing in a way that acknowledges your perspective and enriches your life and potentially the lives of those around you. Maybe you could use blessings to affirm and promote the inherent dignity and worth of folks. Maybe to promote justice and equity and compassion. Blessings to show acceptance and to support other people's spiritual growth, to show respect for the interdependent web, to build world community. Who says Unitarian Universalists can't bless things? Unitarian Universalists aspire to making the world a better place. What better way to do that than to bless the world with an attitude of respect, love, and gratitude? May you all bless abundantly, and may you all be abundantly blessed. Amen.
Thank you, Mariana Louise. That was wonderful. Takes guts to get up there and do that, my friends. Can we just say, we love you, Mariana Louise? Thank you for blessing us. And I will add to that a blessing from one of my favorite authors whose words of wisdom have inspired me, Brother David Steindl-Rast. He's the co-founder of a network for grateful living, and his website is gratefulness.org. And he says, "May this patchwork quilt of blessings help to sharpen your taste for the gift of life in its innumerable facets. May you grow ever more blessed, ever more able to bless. Bless what there is for being. Whatever it be, bless it because it exists. You need no other reason. Source of all blessings, you bless us with breath. In and out, ever renewing us, ever anew, making us one with all who breathe the same air. May this blessing overflow into a shared gratefulness, so that with one breath, may I praise and celebrate life. Source of all blessings, you bless us with humility, that down-to-earth quality that has nothing in common with humiliation, but makes us stand tall and acknowledge both the humus that feeds us and the stars to which we aspire. May I learn to practice and to honor in others this sparkling humility, which is the dignity that we as human beings cannot afford to lose. Source of all blessings, you bless us with imprecision, with all that is vague, close, but not quite, all that leaves room for the more specific, the more precise, and room for the imagination. May I know when to be exact and when to move freely and bless it in the space so generously provided by all that is not perfectly defined, giving full scope to my dreams and my creativity. Source of all blessings, you bless us with memory. That sacred ingathering of the past that allows us to recognize faces, learn poems by heart, find our way back when we're lost, and bring forth old and new from its nearly inexhaustible store. May I know what to forget and what to retain and treasure, keeping in mind the smallest kindness shown to me and spreading its ripples for a long time to come. Source of all blessings, you bless us with change. In the seasons of the year, from snow to greening, flowering, fruiting, and harvest, in the seasons of life, from childhood to youth, full ripeness, and saging, all living things keep changing. May I welcome change as a sacred opportunity to grow and savor in each unrepeatable moment's fleetingness what is beyond change. Source of all blessings, you bless us with departures, for they are a necessary part of our journey, necessary for the arriving. May I always be ready to take leave, always aware that every arrival is a prelude to departure, every birth a step toward dying, and may I thus taste the blessings of being fully present where I am. May blessings help to sharpen your taste for the gift of life in its immeasurable facets. May you grow ever more blessed, ever more able to bless. Now is the time when we gratefully honor and receive the financial support that sustains this congregation and its mission. It's through the hard work and generosity of our members and friends that we're able to continue to build beloved community and be a blessing in the world. In this technological age, there are many technological ways to give that we don't see in our offering basket. And we heartily thank everyone who makes a regular contribution through autopay or e-transfer or on our website. And we're equally grateful for checks in the basket or cash or any offering you're able to make that supports this mission. There are envelopes available here for your in-person contributions, and the information on our offering slide will let you know all of the many, many ways that you're able to make a financial contribution of record. We honor them all. Thank you. Our For Others recipient for the month of June is Skipping Stone, leading the way in providing affirming care to trans and gender diverse youth, adults, and families. Through a client-centered collaborative approach, they empower individuals to achieve their goals by assembling a support team tailored specifically to them. These teams might include community team members, peer mentors and coaches, social workers and mental health and healthcare professionals, or more. And Skipping Stone also sponsors the Affirming Transgender Network of businesses and organizations in Calgary, so that our trans and transgender and non-binary dear ones in this community have a network of safe places to receive services of all kinds. Your gifts will now be gratefully received. Please join me in singing Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirring of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me.
In India, when people meet and greet one another, they say namaste. And that word namaste means I honor the place in you where the entire universe resides. I honor the place of love, of light, of truth, of peace. I honor the place within you where if you are in that place in you and I am in that place in me, there's only one of us. This way of blessing one another is a commonplace practice in some areas of the world. And as I listen to Mariana Louise today, I think this is the practice that we're being invited to embrace right here at home. And for each person we meet, everyone we see, whether we have the chance to say namaste out loud or not, when we encounter that person, to offer them that blessing of their worth and their dignity, to acknowledge our shared existence, and to be the blessing to that person of reflecting loving kindness to them. What a wonderful opportunity. And it does change the way we experience the world around us and one another if we can practice that with one another as often as possible. So that's your homework, to practice this art of blessing everywhere we go, and just see if it makes some kind of difference in your world. I bet it will. Thank you to Mariana Louise for being brave enough to share her wisdom with us and her love and her blessing with us today. And I am very excited for those of us present that we get to have a taste of cabaret. We're going to go have lunch and then we're going to reconvene here. So we'll be well in good hands as the people who are the experts in this lead us through this wonderful celebration today. We're so lucky to have. And again, for those of you online, please feel free to join our coffee chat and spend some quality time together, getting to know one another and blessing each other in cyberspace. And now, if you will join me in singing our closing hymn, Come Sing a Song with Me.
And